I honestly don't remember, but did Flamers get nerfed at one point? I feel like they were stronger around the launch of Warhammer 3, or maybe I'm just kind of giving it rose-tinted glasses, but regardless, Flamers are not a unit you see in land battles, at least these days, a lot. They can be very effective if left to fire on their own. DPS can be absolutely devastating, but they're very much glass cannons, which is why you don't see them a whole lot. Only 3,000 HP is incredibly low. Very poor melee defense, no armor, just relying completely on that barrier and physical resistance. But anyway, this replay from Lenormand, he's taken Be'lakor and the Demons of Chaos, mostly Tzeentch, a couple of Seekers of Slaanesh, and a Soul Grinder of Nurgle. The rest is going to be all Blue Horrors of Tzeentch. He's got Chromatic Aberrations, the Sour Guts, Reservoir Renown Pink Horrors, and some Flamers as well. 2 Flamers. Against Kislev here from Anti-Kaiju, we've got an Ice Witch, Armored Kossars, and some Akshina Ambushers, Regiment of Renown. Their, of course, ability has been nerfed. Changed, I should say. Does have a Vigor debuff now. Also some Horse Archers here. Plenty of Horse Archers. So, interesting. I don't know where... I guess... Oh, here we go. I was going to say, where's the value? 2 Heavy War Sleds plus the Patriarch. A lot of value there. We had Snow Leopard here, unsummoned, I should say real Snow Leopards, one of which kind of YOLO charged in there and got absolutely destroyed by 2v1 of Be'lakor plus the Soul Grinder. Now Be'lakor being heavily shot up in the air is going to get a speed debuff on him as well to kind of pin him in place as he takes that damage. Snow Leopard also collapsing on the Soul Grinder there. It's going to force it to pull back. Although with the Frostbite, of course, Snow Leopard will have no problem staying in contact. Although, just in general, I think the Soul Grinder, if it were to stand and fight here, would probably stand a pretty good chance of just winning outright. The fact that it has way more HP and stats overall. But still, very cost-effective trade so far for the Snow Leopard. If we take a look, yeah, it's already done. I can get its unit card to stay. Come on. Here we go. Snow Leopard's value. About 300. I expected, honestly, a little bit more, but there you go. Chariots are starting to charge in from the side now as well, and yeah, Lenormand kind of like swung his whole formation around to the left, which ends up Anti-Kaiju kind of blobbing up his Horse Archers a little bit, which is not the biggest issue in the world. They are still firing for the most part, but yeah, the Chariots come through and just deliver a devastating side charge through this formation. Slaanesh Cavalry trying their best to respond. Are able to get through and get some damage. The Flamers unleash their first few shots there, but also getting pressured in the back line by that Snow Leopard. Quickly going to get shut down and seen off by the Seekers there. And the Horse Archers trying to counter-skirmish a little bit with the Blue Horrors. I almost wonder, I mean, I guess the Blue Horrors are kind of hybrids as well. It's not like they necessarily want to just charge in and fight straight up, but the Horse Archers, if they were to kind of detach, could outrange, make their way up and around, and start to pressure some of this backline here, like these Flamers, for example, who are now starting to get some shots off into the sides of the Armored Kossars there. Be'lakor's taking significant damage, although he's still fighting just fine in the front line. Gets netted here by the Akshina's ambushers, and Anti-Kaiju going to focus fire all his ranged units there, try and take him down. Understandable. The Wolfhearts themselves, though, just got absolutely nuked on the counterfire from all the blues and pinks. And the Flamers, of course, as well. Flamers maneuvering up around the side of this formation so they can shoot through the side of these Armored Kossars, covered by the Seekers of Slaanesh, so that if the Horse Archers charge over here, like I said, to try and engage the Flamers in melee, the Seekers are right there. The Seekers are just going to cut pursuit anyway and run straight after the Horse Archers, as the Flamers, as we come up and over the hill, are just roasting that unit of Kossars from the side and absolutely batter them into submission. As Be'lakor also charges down and in. Seeker's going to pressure the Horse Archers away while the Flamers unload on the Heavy War Sleds. The War Sleds could punch through and maybe get back at the Flamers, try and fight them a little bit in melee, but instead they choose to peel back, move the other way there. One unit just getting absolutely blasted. Yeah, the DPS of the Flamers coming through fairly significantly. I mean, on paper the DPS is absolutely insane. The question is, can the Flamers actually get set and start shooting? Here they have been able to so far, but the rest of the Demon's army is taking severe casualties. The Seekers were able to get through, get those Horse Archers. Horse Archers do get a little bit of a buff. Frost Blades there on one. Increase their damage and weapon strength, give them magical damage, so they can punch back hard against the Seekers. So nice magical support there from Anti-Kaiju for Kislev, trying to hold things together. Patriarch getting charged by Be'lakor here is a little bit of a problem, but the bear sleds are going to collapse. Again, go a little bit of circle beat with the bears themselves, but the Seeker is going to get a devastating rear charge here. Being quite devastating, in fact, with that devastating flanker. Going to get massively increased charge, although didn't do an insane amount of damage to the actual heavy war sleds. I don't know, maybe they had their charge order targeted onto the Patriarch, perhaps. But the heavy war sleds, I kind of expected to just get bursted down hard there, but they did not. Be'lakor also just barely hanging on. I think he's, yeah, Shadow Shroud active. Is he also getting that Lord of Torment healing? Not anything right now, but of course can get a little bit of healing if he's nearby wavering units. Flamers are the name of the game right now, though, as the armored Kossars are all out of ammunition. A little bit of ammo left on the horse archers and heavy war sleds, but yeah, they should really just charge in here and try and engage the Flamers in melee. Soul Grinder still hanging around, though, which is definitely going to be a problem. It can provide kind of a little terror blocking piece. Not super effective at blocking all these horse archers. If they really wanted to, they could get through and charge these Flamers, which, again, I definitely think they should, but instead, Anti-Kaiju is prioritizing his micro, getting his ice switch back in the fight and away from those Seekers, making sure the Patriarch stays firm and tight with the heavy war sleds there. But Flamers are going to continue to stay in a very safe position. Lenorm playing them back well away from the kind of main strength of the Kislev formation, and then just continuing to pressure these horse archers with the Soul Grinder here, and now also the Seekers moving in with the last of the ammunition going into the Soul Grinder. The Seekers should be okay. Nope, looks like the horse archers turning fire maybe at the last seconds. Yeah, it's enough to actually finish off the Seekers there, basically before they make contact. Again, that's all ammunition that's not being used on the Flamers, which is working very well in Lenorm's favor here. Flamers are one of the visually coolest units in the game, you must admit. In terms of shooting units, at least. Very spectacular. Tzeentch is just generally very colorful, as the Sour Guts there fade away. Gonna be tight. Kislev's got a pretty good lead on the balance of power, mostly from, well, a lot of ammunition left on the heavy war sleds, but they themselves are getting pretty low on ammunition. Starting to go into Buy Our Blood, so we'll see. Kislev could have some leadership issues here, but the Patriarch Ice Switch, maybe 2v1 versus the Soul Grinder, would be a good get, and then swing Horse Archers up and around and get into the Flamers. But, yeah, it looks like basically just what I said is going to happen. Frost Blades on the Bear Sleds. Interesting choice. I might have actually put that just on the Ice Witch herself rather than on the Bear Sleds, as they get terrified away. And she actually is going to stay in the fight now a little bit here. Again, some minor nitpicking, but those are the types of small decisions that can change outcome of battle like this. Finally, the Horse Archers are able to get through and get in melee against the Flamers, and even tattered as they are, you can see the damage they were able to do to the Flamers. I almost wonder if Anti-Kaiju had been able to get them in there a little bit sooner, maybe if he would have been able to stave off some of the damage that they've done, which has been very significant, must be said. Got some something there, some Melkos Mystifying Miasma from Be'lakor, helping to beat the Horse Archers, and the Flamers getting Fecundity Healing as well, which will keep both units in tip-top shape. Massively powerful army abilities, of course, from Demons of Chaos are quite good, depending on what you get. But yeah, 1,600 value on one Flamer. The other Flamer looking 1,200 value so far. Really good performance, honestly. Also, credit to Lenorm being able to keep Be'lakor alive despite that massive early damage he took. Be'lakor is still a very powerful lord, not as good as he used to be. Deservedly nerfed, you know, a couple of times, I think. But it's still quite good, used correctly. Here, going to be healing a little bit more HP from the wavering Kislev units, like this Patriarch here. And yeah, you see that they're very slowly kind of ticking up a little bit of extra HP, but every little bit counts in a tight game like this. And right now, the Soul Grinder and Be'lakor fighting 2v1. Be'lakor is taking some damage, though. 2v1 is also, as the Soul Grinder kind of gets distracted. Well, yeah, then Patriarch also terror routes, so it's all coming up aces. Balance power finally swinging in favor of the Demons of Chaos as the last of the Flamers fight. Ice Switch tries to hold her leadership together, struggling to do so, and these two single entity demons for them undivided. Ooh, let's see, Be'lakor takes some damage here, down to about 500. But here comes the Soul Grinder. Ice Switch gets routed. Patriarch. Terror routes, maybe? Perhaps? There we go. Now he routes. That should be the end. One more Resurgent Heavy War Sled. Ooh, actually almost forces Be'lakor into demonic instability with their shooting attack. He's going to pop Shadow Shroud. There it is, the end of Kislev. So, ends up being super close finish there at the end. I just think, again, had Anti-Kaiju maybe been able to engage the Flamers in melee a little bit sooner with those Horse Archers, things may have turned out differently, but credit to Lenorm for protecting well and also pressuring the Horse Archers very effectively with the Seekers and whatnot. Definitely an interesting game, and I was a little bit worried on paper going into this, given Kislev's missile superiority, but it ended up being that the the blues and the pinks were able to trade out the high value targets they needed to, even if they didn't all necessarily pay for themselves. One of them did, which is nice to see. But then, of course, the Flamers were able to move in and just feast once the threats to them were largely removed. Ammunition on the Corsairs was used on the blues and pinks and other things. He was able to manage the war sleds and the horse archers to such a degree that the Flamers came in and just burminated a lot of that build. So, a beautiful thing to be sure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. Just quickly looking at Kislev's side as well. The heavy war sleds, generally very effective. Do a great job here. Akshina's ambushers, again, was it worth it? If he had been able to finish off Be'lakor, it definitely would have been. As it is, I'm not really sure necessarily. Maybe it would have been better to go a little bit wider. Hard to say. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. But, yeah, interesting to see the chevrons also on the horse archers. I kind of don't hate it, to be honest, given they have fairly decent stats for their cost already. And a couple of them actually getting some really good value. So, interesting to see there. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.